Hello and welcome. I'm Professor Lukas, and today we'll be talking about outlines. This information is adapted from Chapter 2, The Writing Process, in my textbook, College Composition and Reading, Information and Strategies. Outlines are essentially a roadmap to your essay and should be seen as a guide to help you get where you're going rather than as a straitjacket whose confines you're trapped in. If you see a detour you want to take, you're allowed to take it. Allow your draft to develop beyond your outline if it helps the overall paper. Some important aspects of outlines include the restriction to just one idea or reason per paragraph or bullet. Notice I didn't say one topic. You're not going to have just a general topic, but actually what is it that you're saying about the topic? Just like the thesis is not only the subject, but also the argument being made about that subject, topic sentences, or an idea for a paragraph, should include not just the topic, but also the argument being made about that topic. The other important aspect of an outline is that it's organized logically, but there are many different ways to do that, as implied by the number of outline types discussed in the textbook. Speaking of which, let's take a look. There are many different types of outlines, as was discussed in the textbook. Since an outline is basically just a textual skeleton of the essay, there are a multitude of ways they can be created, limited only by your imagination. The classic alphanumeric outline is often taught in schools, but that's far from your only option. And as with so much else in the writing process, your writing will be stronger and easier if you pick a technique or style that works for you personally. Looked at broadly, there are two overarching types of outlines: topic outlines, which use single words or short phrases, or sentence outlines that are composed of complete sentences and tend to be much longer. Let's quickly review the images of each of these types. Here you can see a generalized picture of what an alphanumeric outline looks like. It begins at the highest level with Roman numerals for the most important or highest level aspects. Then it has capital letters for the next level, Arabic numerals for the next level down, and finally lowercase letters. If another level is needed, lowercase Roman numerals can be used. This is the standard arrangement for outlines, and many word processing programs will produce these labels for you automatically if you wish to use them. Let's take a look at how this can look in practice. Here you can see the image of the standard alphanumeric outline from pages 43 and 44 of the textbook. It starts with the Roman numeral 1 for the thesis, which is that textbook prices are ridiculous and need to be brought under control. The body of the essay uses the Roman numeral for 2 and then has a capital letter A for the first section, which is about the higher markups, with Arabic numerals for some ideas supporting it, and lowercase letters for details to support them. This type of outline lets you define the hierarchy and organize your thoughts logically. The key points are in the higher levels, with details, support, and less essential information in lower levels. As you can see from this general illustration of a decimal outline, it's similar to the alphanumeric outline, except that as an added benefit, it shows how every aspect of the outline relates to the larger whole in a much more intuitive way. The decimal outline is written using decimals to note each heading and subheading, as you can see here. The main heading would be noted by a whole number, and each subheading would be noted by a decimal building from that main heading. Like other outline types, decimal outlines shows which ideas are more or less central through use of different levels. You also tend to move from the most general ideas at higher levels to more specific ideas at lower levels. This framework saves time and makes for a more organized essay during the drafting process. Topic outlines are often set up in the classic way with alphanumeric or decimal labels to distinguish the parts and to show how they relate to each other, whereas sentence outlines generally consist of just a list of topic sentences, which are all at the same level, but include more of a direct connection to the thesis. In a sentence outline, your thesis would also be written out completely, and each paragraph would have its topic sentence, followed by one or more sentences about the important points the paragraph will cover. You can see in this example, the thesis is that the textbook prices are ridiculous and need to be brought under control. The first topic sentence says, "The first problem with current textbook prices is that they are so inflated compared to the price of normal books, despite comparable costs for production." You can see that it not only states the argument, which is that textbooks cost more than regular books, despite costing the same to make, but also directly connects back to the thesis by referring to the, quote, problem with current textbook prices, end quote. While this type of outline takes more time to create, it also reduces the time that it takes to write the essay significantly. Another advantage is, if you write the topic sentence separately before the essay itself, it is more likely to directly connect to the thesis while making a clear argument the paragraph can then be tailored to support. However, these types of purely text-based list-type outlines are far from the only type available. As I said earlier, outlines are just ways of organizing information and are limited only by your imagination. Let's take a quick look at a few other types of outlines you might want to try. Here we have the same argument from the last outline, but this time formatted as an outline tree. You can see at the top we have the same thesis statement from before, that textbook prices need to be put under control. There are 3 lines coming down from that to the 3 main supports, such as having a higher markup than the other books. Then each of those has 2 supporting facts, reasons, or examples. This would be an 8-paragraph essay, the introduction and conclusion, plus 1 paragraph for each of the 6 boxes at the lowest level. Another type of outline mentioned in the textbook is a graphic organizer, which is a powerful visual tool for organizing information. It visually demonstrates the relationships between facts, ideas, and arguments. Here is a graphic organizer for a standard 5-paragraph essay, with places for all the needed elements in an essay. You might pause a moment and examine what this organizer asks for to solidify your understanding of essay structure. However, this is only one of many, many options. I encourage you to do an online image search for graphic organizer to get a better idea of the wide range of options. One specific type of graphic organizer is a mind map, which we talked about earlier as a way to generate ideas. If you did a mind map to brainstorm, your outline is basically done. You just need to decide which order to put the clusters in, and which are full paragraphs, and which are information within paragraphs. Even if you didn't use this as a brainstorming method, you can take your list of ideas and supports and arrange them in a mind map to more clearly see how they relate and work together. There are many other ways to outline as well. For instance, quote outlines have you gather together all of the quotes you want to discuss and organize them into groups or categories, each of which will be a section of your paper. These can be very useful for literature essays or discussing a source. Scratch outlines have you list your main points, then review the list and number the points in the order they'll be discussed in the essay. A scratch outline can be made very quickly, but is not very detailed, covering only the main points without the supporting points. Other outline types, while they take longer, also provide more guidance and structure. Basically, a scratch outline is a list-type brainstorm with numbers added to it. Using colored markers or highlighters, or your computer program's highlight function, can also be a great way to organize your essay, especially if you're the type of writer who begins with a speed draft or an idea draft. In this method, you'll begin with a draft or a list of ideas and use colored markers or highlighters to underline or highlight ideas that relate to each other. All related ideas should be the same color. Then the colors will give you a visual map. All green ideas should be discussed together, all blue ideas together, and so on. Index card outlines can be particularly handy because when you write your topics or topic sentences on index cards, you can then physically shuffle them around in front of you until you find the order that you think makes the most sense. Hopefully, this has given you a better idea about the varied options and useful benefits of using an outline. Basically, to create an outline, you'll need to follow several steps, although they might be carried out in different ways. First, you'll need to brainstorm or research in order to generate ideas. You will then want to group or organize these ideas into sets or categories. And you will then label those categories so that you know what kind of general section you have. You can select the order that the sections will be presented, and finally, you're ready to write the outline itself. Remember, everyone is different, and so various methods of outlining might work better or worse for you personally, so don't be afraid to experiment with the different types of outlines presented in the textbook. I encourage you to pay special attention to the examples of various outline types given on pages 43 through 47 of the textbook. I hope that this has been helpful for you and invite you to try different types of outlining as you work on your assignments to find out which type works the best for you. I look forward to joining you for another video lecture next time.